Hello, wonderful friends. Mr. J here with MrJRelationshipCoach.com, here to give you your weekly dose of vitamin J. I want to just touch a little today on grief. There's a theory out there, the 5 stages of grief, which some of you may know. It was actually somebody's personal documentation of, I believe, accepting their own death. So they went through the 5 stages of grief. Then after that, there was a theory of 12 stages of grief and so forth. But I'm just going to quickly touch on a couple of these stages and talk a little bit about what grief does and how it affects us and how to move through it. So as we know, grief hits us. It's a mourning process. It's a sadness. Anytime there's a loss or a betrayal, we could grieve over a death of someone, a death of a loved one. We can also grieve over a betrayal because we're grieving what we thought we had, or we're grieving what could have been. So there are, like I said, in this theory, 5 stages of grief, and they're shock, acceptance, anger, sadness, all this other stuff. And I wanted to bring in some of these rubber bands because let's just say, this is shock. And what happens is we go through a little period of shock, and then we go into, bargaining. And so this is bargaining, and we go into this phase and stage of bargaining, and then we go into anger, and this, we go into this stage of anger. And then we go into, all the stages. These are all the stages until we get to acceptance. So these are the stages. So these are the stages right here. Is what we go in and out of. But if you want to know the truth in all actuality, this is grief. This is grief right here. There's no true cut, precise stage and phase that we, every 2 weeks we go through the thing. This is grief right here. It brings sadness, tremendous anger, frustration. One of the things I just want you to know is that grief is normal and universal. We all go through these stages. We all go through these stages of bargaining. We all go through these stages of of being depressed. We all go through the stages of accepting, and so forth. But what's not universal is what we carry into the process. We bring our childhood into grief. We bring our education, our examples, our feelings, our emotions, our own selves into grief. Some people can handle grief a lot more than others. So it's just very important to realize that, grief does a lot to your immune system. So make sure that when you're grieving, you're still taking care of yourself. You're still getting those proper vitamins and nutrients. You're still eating well. You're still drinking plenty of water. Grief puts us in almost like a trance state. And what that does is our body's way of protecting ourselves so we can slowly deal with the reality of our grief, no matter how that grief came to us, whether it was from betrayal or death or what have you. And just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Again, grief is not this tried and true, stage in phase 1, stage in phase 2, stage in stage 3, and then you eventually acceptance. It's all jumbled up. This is grief right here. But it's important to know that you're not alone. You are normal. And with the proper time and work, you will get through it. So that's this week's Vitamin J. Until next week, smile, take care of yourself and others.